All right. Hi, everyone. Warm welcome. So good to see everyone here. But an interesting show, a bit of a look back at 2023 today. Guys.
Yep. It's going to be, I think it's going to be really, really interesting to actually see who picks what, like the last time. I think we're kind of zeroing in on the format that we also like, and then we kind of figured out, okay, so what we like, you guys also like. And basically, it's the thing, we have no idea who picked what. So genuinely, when you hear who picked what for their favorites and, ups and downs, it's going to be the first time for us hearing as well. So, yeah.
We are sworn to secrecy. I tried to tell Voja what I was going to talk about, and he's like, no. It has to be a surprise. It has to be legitimately the first time we've heard any of this. So, yeah, we're going to figure this out kind of as you guys figure it out as far as what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and we've got sort of 12 micro presentations, some sort of 12 micro reviews coming for you right now, okay? Welcome if you're watching the replay, and they'll all be chaptered out at the bottom so you can skip about and find the bits that you're most interested in. I'm going to start with Brandon, I believe. Are you ready to jump into the first micro review?
Yeah, so it's probably worth
category.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the format. So we're going to do our favorite purchase from the year, non-e-ink. We're going to do our most disappointing purchase of the year, non-e-ink. And then we'll circle back around and we'll talk about the highs and the lows from e-ink through our perspective. So I'll get us started. And let's see, can we get my view up here? So, and I kind of gave it away a little bit, but my favorite purchase from the year is the Yeti Rambler 40 ounce, which, I mean, I don't know if it's my best purchase, but it's the one that probably gives me the greatest satisfaction. I had the 20 ounce version of this before, but my treadmill ate it. Like legitimately, it completely crushed it. And I tried a number of different water bottles to try and replace that one. And this is the best one that I've found for my use case. I think the 40 ounces.
The volume in metric. Do you know what's 20 ounces in metric, please?
I will figure that out later. I'll figure out this as Brandon goes.
You're asking the American who is awful at conversion of this. But the 40 ounces means that I'm not constantly refilling it. The handle means that I'm less likely to drop it or re-injure this bum thumb that I have. And I mean, yes, it's stupid. I will gladly share my address. So that's my high.
Cool. Very cool.
What a high point. So I'm next then, I suppose, for my high points. So let's chuck me in there.
Just to say it's 1.18 liters for anyone who's interested.
Well, that is quite the thing. What size was the other one?
The other one was so I've had a 20. This one's a 32.
Right.
But this one doesn't have a handle, and so like gripping it when it's full is a little tough. And I find
or wet.
Yeah, exactly. And so it gets a little awkward with one hand without the handle. And so this one I can go a little bit bigger because of the handle, and I don't have to worry about trying to grip it around the top. So I can just grab it like this, go. It's got a nice lid that closes. I don't have to twist anything. There's no extra pieces. It's all one thing. And like this comes off. So like if I need to clean it, that can be cleaned. Top comes off. That can be cleaned. It's all stainless steel. You can throw it in the dishwasher. Nice and easy.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to ask. How easy to clean is it?
Yeah, it's easy.
It's easy. Cool. Right.
Also, all this stuff's replaceable. So if you do beat it up or you drop it, I mean, like this one got beat up pretty bad when the treadmill ate it. And you could still just throw this all in the wash and it would be fine. But I learned how it was made when it got chewed up. So it's actually a 3-piece design.
I cover them in my science lessons. This is like a part of the curriculum is like, limiting the rate of cooling. So I'm going to go with my thing now, if that's okay. Right. We're done with the Yeti thing. What do you guys think of the Yeti? So
I like it.
I like it. Yeah, it looks great. Double thumbs up for me. So it could have been this bag. It was close to being this bag. This is a Voja. I have no idea of the actual bag of this, but Voja, do you two know this brand?
No,
never heard.
They make amazing tents. They make the most lightweight tents that I've ever had. And they take like 5 minutes to put up these tents, even less. And absolutely incredible tents. And then the bag is just as like strong tent material as well. It's an incredible thing. But that's not what I'm going to pick because I have a bit of a problem. My problem is that I buy too much stationery. I buy too much like actual paper and pens.
Like
and
you still use them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a bit of a controversial one to pick, isn't it, with us guys here? But you know, the problem is that I buy so much that I hardly use them. Like, I buy this one, and I sort of tried it out, and I absolutely loved it. You know, it's about beautiful. This is a moleskin one. This is the one that I most often carry at the minute, and I absolutely love it. You know, these just like little sketches. I don't know who these were, who these people were. Oh yeah, these were. This was awesome. This was in the Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh, right? But I spend all this time, you know, these are some things with my kids and just like places where I've sat and done some sketches. I buy all this stuff, and a lot of it sits in the packet for like years, like literally ages. And you know, I can tell you this is one of my favorite sketchbooks, but I haven't ever used it. And it's just such a nice sketchbook, right? It's such a nice like feel to it. And I was thinking about this kind of, you know, this kind of quality that we're after in the design, the way these things are designed. You know, we're after this kind of quality, like reminding us of our notebooks that we used to carry around when we were traveling, maybe in our 20s. And I was thinking about how, you know that like reviewer thing where you like want to test out the pencil tools and you just scribble all over the page. Well, you don't do that when you get a sketchbook. You don't do that when you try it. You know, like this was the way I tried out this paper for the first time. I settled down and I did a drawing. I think it's an El Greco thing, you know. And there's this difference there, isn't there? Like, how much do you value the kind of individual page on here and the kind of notes that you scribble? I mean, you look at the note I just scribbled down just before this to help us just plan out what order we're going to do it. It's like, it's not as precious and it's not as important. Really quickly, because I've got 30 seconds to recommend. This is the Hey Tio Cat like clicky pen where you can like change. I know there's a few options of this. I think what they're called have one. Lamy have one where you can like, you know, you get a different ink out depending on which way up it is. The Lamy one's like 50 quid or something. This is like 15. I really like this Kuiko moleskin one. I know you like the Kuiko EMR, don't you, as well?
I love mine. I just got a clip for it. I was at a local stationery store and they're always closed when I go there. And I finally got in there and they had the clips.
That's my time up, but I'm going to be cheeky and take 15 more seconds. And
we'll allow it.
I know, liberties. And this, I've never had it out of the box, but I've had it for like probably almost a year now, and I really like it. But I haven't had to use it yet. So this is a ballpoint pen. You know, I just like these are my favorite things. These are my favorite like purchases because I just can't stop myself from doing these things. I think there's something, you know, I will use this. I'm going to pop it in my desk pencil pot now. And there, it's going to come out soon, I'm sure, when I have to sign something or something like that. But I don't know. I thought that was quite an interesting thing. That's my favorite thing of 2023.
I guess before we hop into the next one, I'm curious, Voja, do you still have a use case for traditional stationery?
No, actually, I completely flipped over to these devices that I'm using because, and actually, I was moving this year. So I went to the attic and I found the box with all the stationaries and everything that I actually used before. And then I just saw like what a huge bunch of it was. So no, honestly, no. Actually, I'm completely switched to these devices. And honestly, since Supernote did their thing with the titles and the keywords and everything, I mean, Note Air 3 is fantastic for a lot of things. But I still use the Supernote A5X for writing because it just, I don't have to think about it. It's as reliable.
Gets out of your way, right?
Yeah, it's just as natural as the stationery was. That's how it is. It's not, I don't think of it as a device anymore. It's the thing that I use for writing. As simple as that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a use for a nice pen. So, like, I sign checks and like write on envelopes, but as far as actually like writing anything for myself, it's all digital at this point.
Yeah, it just comes way more natural to me, and
I don't disagree. I just think, I don't know, there's something, it's something I'm maybe thinking about at the minute, because I used to be somebody that like would spend all of that time with those those pens and paper and with those notebooks, and now like things have changed, but I don't quite use them in the same way. However, things like your automatic text recognition on this thing, like it means that what was the issue with using the paper before, which was I'd have all this writing and then I would never do anything with it. Whereas now you got automatic text recognition. You just however you get it off, you find it from the cloud, or you export it, upload it to Google Drive or whatever. And it's just a different way of doing things. And yet there's still a place for me for the tactile, the real thing.
Yeah, I completely agree about the value of a page thing. I think that was a very, very interesting point that you raised, and that's most definitely something to kind of keep in mind and think about it. So that's.
And I bet you didn't. I bet when you pulled this out for the first time, the new one, we're all so excited by this. But like, was it different? Was it rather than the first thing you did on it? The first thing I wanted to do was those drawings. Was the first thing you did on it? Wasn't just a set of scribbles, probably. It was probably
no. Actually, it for some reason it really resonated with me, and it just invites me to use it as a normal sketchbook. And I haven't spent enough time to give an objective reason why that's that way, but I do know that that's what it's doing to me. So
cool. You fire in next. That's been too long. I've hijacked a bit of time.
All right, so put in my desk here. So
is it going to be the crab hat?
No, it's not going to be my crab cat. Crab cat is at this point. Crab cat is 12 years old. It was purchased in Montreal when I was in Unity Unite back in 2011. This is my absolute favorite purchase of the year. And this transformed everything for me. What it is, it's for those who don't know, the Vinci Resolve is a piece of software. It's a editing software that I use and that I switched to since having horrible experience with Vegas, and I was tired of that. And then I figured out, hey, I like DaVinci. It's working good. And then I figured out, hey, how about actually using and having control surface with shortcuts and with the jog wheel and everything. And I can say that it actually transformed my editing process immensely. Like it really halved the editing time. And by the time I'm actually done with the work, I'm not exhausted. I'm not completely drained or tired or anything like that. And it might not be an exciting thing, but for me, the editing and recording actually takes such a big part of my year. Yeah, there you go. And that thing is just simply phenomenal. I mean, it has its own rules and things, but one accept that. It is a life changer for me. So it really changed everything.
Can I jump in really briefly just to make so I bought this thing, and it's a similar idea. I bought it years ago. They make a bigger one. This is their cheaper one, and although the wheel's nice, the buttons are just not very. They're really unsatisfying to click.
But the whole thing about this is once you get to learn it, you don't look at it. The keys are so good that you just basically, this is all you're doing. I move my keyboard away. I don't use a mouse. I don't use anything. This is all you use, and then you click with the mouse maybe if you need something. But most of the time, this is what you're actually doing. Your trim in, trim out, rolls, your smooth cuts, and everything. And it's just, if
amazing.
you're doing videos, it's amazing.
I think you've gotten further with it than I have, Voja. I like it. I like the jog wheel a lot. There's certain buttons that I use all the time that are just awkward to get to on it. So like where the Mark keyboard shortcut is, and what's the other one? Yeah, and I don't love the double tap undo, but like the hardware on it is fantastic. I just wish it was reprogrammable. That's like my only nitpick on it.
True. I would agree, but for me, it's so easy. I don't know. It's very focused. It's not too much. So what it has there, it's all usable, and I just use it. So I love that. That's my
Has
favorite.
it pushed you to? Do you use Cut Page or do you use Edit? Edit
Exclusively Cut Page. Since I've got that,
Yeah.
exclusively Cut Page, because that's the thing I was referring to. It wants to be used in a certain way, and if you're going to use it, you have to embrace the Cut Page. Otherwise, you're going to fight it. But if you do, it made editing process much better for me because I never used the Cut Page before. And when I got this, I started to use the Cut Page, and my editing just transformed immediately.
Yeah, it is
one
a lot
thing that
faster.
changed for me with editing was I watched a video by Sam Calder, who like makes these incredible videos about travel, and he said he has one hand on the mouse and one hand on one small area of the keyboard, and I just copied his keyboard shortcut. So this left hand doesn't move, and my other hand moves the mouse. So it's kind of like it's just about, and yeah, it is just about getting those workflows right. And I think if you're not a video editor, you know, take from this that actually there are times when you buy something that really does change you, or you make a change to your workflow that really changes your speed. There are times when you buy something that don't work out, like this Shuttle Express didn't work out for me. Also, the Stream Deck didn't really work out for me. You could see me live streaming right now and not using the Stream Deck very often. So it's worth like knowing, you know, when you what is that workflow going to be, and really like committing to it. Like Brandon's not quite obviously committed to using that yet, and let it change his workflow. Is that right, Brandon?
So the thing I love about it, I love the jog wheel, but I find that I just do the edit completely with the keyboard. So I have two hands on the keyboard, no mouse, no jog wheel. So the other thing, I didn't get into this, but the other thing I find with the speed editor is I wish I could default it into 1.5 times playback speed. So like having to double tap play to get to 1.5 times playback speed is frustrating. Whereas if I have it on the keyboard, I just tap LL and it's just a lot easier muscle memory.
But you're double tapping there as well.
I know, it's just my hands don't move.
Just saying.
But,
cool. I think we better move on to bad things now.
Yeah.
Bad things.
Oh,
all right.
So is it me?
Yeah.
Go for it. Right. Yeah, let's come back around.
Yeah, go.
This thing ruined my day and ruined my freaking week. I don't have enough time to play games. But I love games because I'm a video game developer. That's my primary thing. I mean, I do this 1 day a week. The rest of the stuff, I develop my own video games. And I like tennis. So I got this one and purchased it. Went home. It's like, yay, weekend, I'm going to play a game. And popped it in. And you pay a full price for this, right? It was on sale, but still, it's a full price game. You put it in. The very first screen of the game is, welcome to our store. And then the whole freaking onboarding system about tokens, coins, and all sorts of, this is a PG show, but BS, that was just like wanted me to crumple it into pieces and burn it and throw it away. It's utter garbage. It takes about 10 minutes to get to see anything remotely related to tennis. So yes, if you ever see this, even in a garbage bin, like, stay away from it. It's absolutely
to Mario Smash Brothers Tennis, yeah. Mario Smash Tennis on the
game. That's much better. But this is utter garbage. Utter garbage. So don't be warned. That's my rant.
So Voja, we haven't talked about tennis. So when are we going to get together and finally play some tennis?
Yeah, I played tennis
in a gazillion years, but that will be fun. Why not? You get to see me stumble around.
Cool. My bad thing. I'd say I've booted up. It's Half-Life's 25th anniversary. Any Half-Life players out there? So that got me back on Steam. And, unfortunately, then there's the new CS:GO. So I've spent a few hours, not too many, because you're absolutely right. Who's got time to play games? Many of you, I hope you all got time to play games. But it's one of those things that you either decide to commit time that is unproductive time, or you don't. Right, so what's my worst thing? Okay, unfortunately, I wanted to love this, but I didn't. It's the Jelly 2E Have you heard of these guys? You two?
I'm waiting for mine to arrive. No.
Oh gosh. I hope,
Oh,
you never
no.
know though, because maybe you'll tell me something about it, and you'll be like, do you know, actually, great. There's something to love about this. There are things to love about this. It just didn't do what I wanted it to do. And I think the reason why I didn't do what I wanted it to do is because I wanted it to allow me to use the book's Palmer like always and as a mobile device, which is what it's intended. So I wanted to carry this instead of this, and it just didn't, it didn't do it, unfortunately. And the reasons are sort of many and varied. I think because this was the thing, it's so impressive that they've crammed everything they've crammed into here. The 4G, it's got a mobile hotspot, it's got a small screen, okay, with the low resolution screen and everything, but you can do all that you can do on Android on here. You can get every app. You can it's let's say it's got a fingerprint reader on the back. It's, to all intents and purposes, it's a great phone. But I still found myself going into the YouTube studio and like trying to respond to people's comments on this little screen. I was like, why am I doing this? This is ridiculous. And to have to then like start the hotspot on here and then log this on, wait for it to connect, meant that I was like, well, quickly, I've got a couple of seconds or whatever to check something or send a quick reply to a comment. Why am I doing this to myself when I've got this glorious OLED thing in the pocket? And it's like, it's a difficult choice to make. And it's kind of like, I had to admit to myself that I've gone this far with large phones, and it's not currently likely that I'm going to go back to something this small. Whether this is the right format, I think because they've got some less, it's also quite thick, you see. They've got some less thick and bigger phones, which I think, they're still very small and quite minimalist. I think maybe that would be a better choice. So have you gone for the Jelly 2E itself?
I think so. It's the one with the 2 SIM slots and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So Yeah, for me, actually, it's exactly what you tried to do with it. I want the physical obstacle of the small screen because I don't want to have the office in my pocket and outside of my work hours. I figured out that I have to put a physical limitation so that I'm physically not able to conveniently respond to YouTube comments and to check my email and type that email. And that, hopefully, my attempt is to switch to that so that I have free time where I'm not always some percentage working, that my brain is not some percentage at work, which is what YouTube actually does to you. Very few people talk about that, but that's actually an issue. It's a very, very big issue. And for me...
You mean you're always thinking about YouTube?
Absolutely. And if you have this thing always at your disposal, and it's so convenient, for me, my psyche is, I guilt trip myself into, I don't have an excuse not to check an email, not to respond to an email at midnight, right? And that's not good. Like, I don't have an excuse. Why am I doing that to myself? So that's my
and you constantly feel like you're trying to get it back to zero, and it's kind of a fool's errand. You're never actually going to get it to zero. And
so basically,
I mean, that was what I loved about I had the iPhone 13 mini before, and it was small enough that it was kind of an inconvenience, and I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to actually have a bigger phone. So like going to the 15 Pro was actually like a really tough decision for me. But I wanted everything else that the 15 Pro could do, and so I went ahead and did it. So,
So I'm trying to see what happens by going the other way around and setting like fixed times in the morning and at the start of the workday, and at the end of the workday, I'll check the comments and emails and do them, and that's it. So that's going to be a temp.
I think that's it, and using it for that bit of time, I committed to doing it for and I managed 2 weeks for it, and I carried those 2 things, and it did work. But and it taught me a couple of things. I think it taught me just be a little bit more aware of what you're doing with your time. Have an e-reader closer, and don't just automatically open your big screen and look at other things like that. it did teach me, and some of those habits have really stuck, and some of them have kind of like evaporated now. But actually doing that reset, but I don't know whether it needed to be buy a thing to go through that reset really, and that's probably why it's the worst purchase for me for this year.
Cool.
All right. So for the last 2 years, I've run this YouTube channel on Sony ZV-E10s, and those are not my item I hate. My frustrating item of the year is actually this one, which is the Sony A6700. It was my splurge purchase. I was supposed to be really excited about it. It had all these high-end video features like 10-bit 422 recording, S-Log3, built-in LUTs. It has this hardware rocker knob for mode switching. But in practice, it's been unreliable because it overheats constantly. So for those of you who are watching the Supernote A6X2 unboxing stream the other day, you got to see it overheat firsthand. And I wish I could say that was the only time, but I've had it overheat, I think, every time I've done an unboxing video, because anytime I record more than 30 minutes, it'll overheat. And so it's just super annoying. And the camera has so much promise. It has everything I need, but in practice, it's been a major thorn in my side. It makes creating videos less fun. And so I just do less of it when it was designed to make it a more exciting, more enjoyable experience. And so that's
what was the difference up to the FX30 then? Was that a lot cheaper than the FX30? Or?
It's a little bit cheaper than the FX30, but the biggest difference is I wanted the hardware knob. So like I use one for S-Log shooting. I use 2 for regular run and gun shooting. I do 3 for thumbnails. And on the FX30, you can't do that. You also give up a viewfinder and like a couple of other little things. And so I could go to the FX30. I'm going to try and switch to a dummy battery on this. And I'm going to try to get the little fan that goes on the back. And if that doesn't work, then there will be a used A6700 for sale, and I'll end up buying an FX30. But
sorry to hear
it was supposed to make things better. It was a splurge. It was twice what I've spent on every other camera, and I just can't trust it.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Nothing sucks more than that, especially when it's like a tool that you're looking. There's nothing you're gonna look more forward to than a new camera when you're doing this.
I mean, the one thing that has saved me is I use this Zoom F2 recorder for all of my audio. Otherwise, every time it overheats, I would lose audio because the audio is coming off the main camera. But because at least I record into this, I can still use the top-down camera and keep going. Otherwise, it would just be a completely lost shot.
Yeah, that's great about the Rode Pro things as well. They're always capturing 32-bit float whenever they're on. Absolutely brilliant. And the reason I'm actually I said this to the boys before we started, it's new camera day tomorrow, and this one's great, absolutely brilliant. But it's a better photography camera than it is. It's an M6 Mark II, better photography camera than a video camera. And the reason I'm not going to use that any longer for this shot is this top-down shot is that it overheats when I'm filming it. It's just like great. So I have to stop my flow and wait for a bit. Hey, there we are.
Sorry.
That is the best feature of it.
Cool. That is so awesome. I mean, it's just really good.
That's also the best feature of the new Supernote is it now comes with a fidget click.
Yeah, but that makes a noise, and that's annoying.
Yeah.
And the teachers will tell us that kids clicking their pens is quite annoying. Okay, so let's rock on, and it's going to be Brandon again with your high e-ink next.
Oh, all right. Well,
we're into the second half of the show now.
I'm going to do a little bit of a lightning round. Are you okay with me taking everything on this?
Oh, do you want to do low? Why don't we do low e-ink first, and then we'll work our way up.
All right, we'll start with lows.
Start with lows.
Okay. I would say my low for the year is release frequency. And I know that's a weird statement. I'd say on the low end of release frequency is the Remarkable, which is we really didn't get a new Remarkable device this year, at least not a Remarkable 3. We got the Type Folio, which is great if that fits into your workflow. But I don't think I'm going off on too much of a limb to say that most here would say a 300 pixel per inch Remarkable is an easy upgrade to say yes to. And so when will we actually get an upgrade on that front? So that's on the low side. I would say if we look to the high side, you go to books. And I'd say, in my opinion, I think books released too many devices in 2023. I think if I can count correctly, I think it was 7 in the calendar year. So Tab X, Tab Ultra C, Palma, Tab Mini C, Note Air 3C, Ultra C Pro, and then Note Air 3 Mono, which is still 227 pixels per inch and something released in December of 2023. And then we add on top of that, I think Tab Ultra came out at the tail end of 2022. So we've gotten 3 books Tab Ultra refreshes in about a year. And the Tab Ultra C was replaced as flagship after, what, 155 days?
Really?
So
like
so those are the lows, is just getting release frequency right. Want a little bit more from Remarkable and maybe a little bit of restraint from books.
Couldn't agree more.
I think we all agree on that. I think absolutely getting it right. I think one thing when people were complaining about the release frequency, they're often compared to Apple and Samsung, and they are companies that know what's going to be in their phones, 3 years down the line. They're working on the things that are likely to be in those phones. And I think that everyone's used to that kind of cycle of annual, here's all of the phones for this year. Choose what to buy. That'll be our flagship for a year. That'll be our kind of just under the flagship, but still look the same. That'll be the entry level one. And they're all kind of released in these kind of, but then that is a big company with, a pair of big companies, massive companies. And they are, they're able to do that. Whereas these smaller companies, they don't plan like that. And I think when they want to be predictable and they want to be, they want to do things in the open like Supernote, it sometimes means that they have to change their deadlines and everything like that. And I think, I don't know, I hope that we are the beginning of a larger market for e-ink tablets because they're excellent. And I hope that means that these companies will become able to, as you say, get the release schedules right and get the upgrades right. And when the market wants, as you say, a 300 dot per inch Remarkable, a color Remarkable, an A4 Remarkable. I've been after an A4 Remarkable for some time. Color to draw with that thing. That would be incredible, wouldn't it? But we're not quite. Those companies, maybe and Remarkable included, aren't quite there yet. So it's my low point now, is it? I believe.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Right. So I was going to. It could have been waiting for this. Could have been, and that kind of chimes in with yours, the release schedule thing. But in reality, it's not waiting for this because this is, if you're not sure what you're looking at here, the Supernote A6X2, absolutely fabulous device. But because they kept us informed, and they let us know, they chat on their Reddit, and it's been worth the wait. And it could have been the absolute joke of an update on the Lenovo, but I've just said enough. I've just said enough about the Lenovo. I'm not even going to turn it on. I checked it was charged. I thought I might turn it on, but I've said enough about the Lenovo Smart Paper. But I'm going to go for the Kindle Scribe, forevermore to be known as the Skindle.
Yeah,
not a scandal, but the Skindle.
The Skindle.
It's the Skindle.
Yeah, and I think because it's Microsoft Office integration wasn't there. It wasn't what it should have been. And I think would it like I made a video about the Remarkable Office integration and the Kindle one, and it's such a simple thing. Like you've added, you can send to Kindle. You can send to Remarkable from Word and PowerPoint. Why can't you do the same for Kindle? I mean, it's the tiniest little add-in they've made, tiniest little plugin they've made for Word. It is not, it's not what it should have been for a massive company like Amazon to have brought this out. And I'm not getting, I'm not bashing the Kindle. It's a great value device now. It's a it's a great entry into e-ink. It's got that great screen. There's loads of things that's really good. It's the new browser. Interesting, this searchable PDF thing they're going for now. These are cool things. But then there was all that weirdness with the cloud, like the cloud being there and then not being there all of a sudden. And when it was there, it was just it was just a image. It wasn't even like the actual note file that you could download. And you made a good choice if you bought a Kindle. I think good entry into e-ink tablets will do a lot of what you need to do. But then, I think the difference is they should try and be more Supernote, because Supernote kind of under-promised and then over-delivered here. This is way better than I was expecting. They were saying,
yep,
this is not going to be a massive upgrade. This is not going to be like life-changing. We're just adding we're adding a replaceable battery, and they don't make the chips that we were putting in the old A6X, so we better do an update. But then look at what they've actually made. It's all the things, there's going to be more content coming from us all, I'm sure, on this. Things like where the magnets are placed don't get in the way of your writing in the corners, and yet they've got a solution which is holding the thing in place perfectly. You under-promise and over-deliver like that. I think that's why this is the low point, that kind of update cycle. Amazon should be looking to, give you like a version of Word which is perfect on e-ink, and that it can, you can live in that and you can work in this just like you can on the actual Amazon app, the actual Android app here on the Books devices. They should be bringing together their ecosystems into this e-ink device, rather than just treating it as a reader, a Kindle that you can write on, which is it's kind of like the way the first time if somebody asks you what on earth is a Remarkable, what on earth are these e-ink tablets, and you kind of say, well, it's kind of like a Kindle that you can write on. It's like, that's not what it is anymore. That was what it was when Remarkable 1 was invented, and the Sony DP1 maybe, but now there's something different. So that's my low point.
All right. So
some low points.
Yeah, I don't have the low point to show because it was the lowest point. I had it.
You had to get it away from you.
Oh yeah, that's no longer in my house. The low point for me was Big Me Galley, and for several reasons. Big Me Galley was supposed to show and promote the benefits of the Gallery 3 e-ink screen. And they failed on every single front completely miserably by actually using a Gallery 3 screen and putting it into an Android tablet that has a camera and some other stuff that the Gallery 3 screen cannot do. And on top of that, they don't calibrate it right. They don't do anything correctly with it. So a lot of people are going to say, probably are going to say, well, it's not Big Me Galley's fault. It's the problems of the Gallery 3 screen. I would disagree with that, because Gallery 3 screen is that's still a very early technology. But I think that it's a very important technology, because unlike the color passive matrices that we see on the Kaleido Plus 2, 3, and everything that we see, which is still a monochromatic display, the Gallery one actually has color ink cells, and it moves them around. And that's a big thing. And I think that if Big Me didn't drop the ball on that one with the Galley, and actually they had the guts to focus and create a very focused device, extremely limited but focused device that would exploit the benefits that Galley as a display technology had to offer, and then kind of offered that as a thing, then it wouldn't have been such a horrendous flop as it was. Instead, what they actually showed or shown was that they fundamentally didn't understand what the Gallery screen is for. And they tried to just use it as another color panel and just shove it into an Android tablet and whoop-de-doo, here you go. And for me, that was a tremendous disappointment because as a device, it's horrendous. And I think that it slowed down. That device alone, I think, is responsible for future slowing down of development and improvement of the gallery panels. Because it has shown, hey, here's a device. And it was a tremendous commercial flop. And you think that e-ink is going to be investing into that over Kaleido 3 that's selling like hot pancakes because of books? Of course not. So that to me is the biggest flop of the year, and that is the pre-order. So that's something that I purchased for myself because Bigme didn't dare to send one to me, so I just bought one. And then, of course, sold it because it was tremendously disappointing.
The clue's in the name, isn't it? Like it's designed for going on the wall somewhere. They were trying to design the best poster replacement they could.
Yes,
the thing that you might want to display your art on if you were able to, show that in a gallery. That's what it's for.
Yeah, and they just dropped the ball horrendously.
Yeah.
So
cool. I think you're still on. I think luckily for you, you can start smiling now because you can tell us at your high point now.
You mean me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, things have changed, haven't they, in the last couple of days?
Any
I don't know about you guys.
I would agree.
Things have changed. I thought that I had in the bag, right? That it was like, okay, so my favorite purchase of the year, I thought, would be this, right? The Note Air 3C, because I freaking love this thing. It works. It replaces almost everything that I need. Of course, I still do all of my writing on the Supernote A5X, but everything else I really, really love about this. And then all of us a couple of days ago, we got to see this. And I'm torn. I'm really torn. But there's something incredibly difficult to ignore about what this represents and what it actually does. I haven't purchased it yet, but I'm definitely going to. There's no question about it. So I am definitely going to purchase it. So if the judges allow the technicality that I haven't purchased it yet, but I will, I'm still a little bit torn because I haven't spent enough time with this yet to be 1,000% certain. But for me, if the A6X2 didn't come out this year, it would have been the Note Air 3C. That absolutely, without question, would have been, and it still is, one of my top 2 purchases, e-ink purchases this year. But this one, as Kit said, this one throws quite a bit of things into the spanner into the works because it's they undersold it, they underplayed it, and what they delivered on every single front, I was not prepared. The attention to details and everything, you just look in, and it's better, and it's better, and it's better.
Yeah.
I mean, the addition of the G sensor and the landscape portrait orientation, like, I was first like, what the hell? Oh, okay. Well, that works brilliantly. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to do anything. And it's just, as a platform, it's something that I really love. And on top of everything, I am a geek. And when I see the ability to open up my device and actually have control and own my device, that's very valuable, right? So that's it for me. Those are my I can't choose between the two. They are neck and neck.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing, isn't it? Kenzie's saying she can't wait for our in-depth reviews. Absolutely. And the thing is, I don't think any of us can wait to make them either. Like, I'm excited to find the time. It's kind of like, holiday season at the minute, isn't it? So I'm taking a bit of time and slowing down quite a lot. But you know, before this, I'm like, oh, I've got half an hour, right? Quickly get the camera on, and I'm going to make a drawing and get that in the can, you know, like, because it is a really inviting device to use, and it's really exciting.
It is. I think the one thing to be careful about, though, is like we're in that really, really exciting honeymoon period.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that it's going to be amazing, and I'm still going to like it. I just want to see. I need to give it time just so I have an unbiased review on it.
Yeah,
But
I need to know that from
everything
you,
I've experienced with it thus far has been top notch. I have people ask me, they're like, "Will it replace your Remarkable?" I'm like, I don't know. I can't give you an objective opinion on it because I need time with it to just let the excitement wear off, like find the edges that I'm not sure about yet, and then I can give a real review.
Yeah, and so from you though, because you really didn't like, it was your put off thing was the feel right one. Like, so where has this made that change for you? Is it feeling better for you?
It's night and day difference. Right. Like I think I mentioned that in the review. It's like I love everything about the Supernote except writing on it, and that's kind of a big deal. I have no issue writing on the A6X2. So they really solved the bogging down issue. I love the new textured feel. It's really good. I do find that I prefer it with a thicker ink weight. So the 0.7 ink pen. That way I don't have the urge to really press down.
Yeah.
Because if I really, really press down, you can kind of convince it to bog down, but it's not nearly as much as it was on the other one. And yeah, I really like it.
And that's a nice flowing feeling of writing, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. It could have been, so for my high point, I think that's where we're up to next. It could have easily been this as well. One of the biggest things for me is that they've added this drawing app and the nice airbrush things and all the different weights of pencil. You know, see, that's important for me. So I'm gonna, you know, my intention is to be going through some of Van Gogh's drawings and sort of copying them up, and you know, that's going to be an exciting thing because obviously Van Gogh needs color. But you know, maybe I'll come back to the Air 3C for that. Now, it could have also been the Note Air 3C as well. Absolutely, it could have been. But I think the biggest kind of like moment for me in e-ink this year, and we can discuss, you know, was it too close to the Tab Ultra, which was the black and white one? But the Tab Ultra C and the original one was this year, and I think that's been my sort of standout e-ink moment because we, you know, reviewers, it's such a commonly used word, but we talk about game changers, talk about things that actually change the way that you approach devices, the way you approach your own productivity. And the Tab Ultra C was the one that made me really go, oh yeah, I was excited for the Tab Ultra. It works, it's fabulous, the black and white thing. But when it came with the color screen, and all of a sudden apps like not Outlook, sorry, Word, like the little banner at the top, you know, you can see the difference between all the different icons just so much better. In Word, you know, like it really just made sense. That was the moment, you know, it really made sense for now more than just reading and for notes. And I think that, you know, it's quite incredible how the screen is working on here. It is quite incredible to see. I don't know if it's really coming through on the video as much as it should, but when there's a refresh, and it doesn't always need to do that full screen refresh like it just did, and the ghosting just vanishes. You know, when it does that, and you sort of watch it go, you're like, oh yeah, this is something different, isn't it? And that coupled with the typing and coupled with, you know, all of your different use of different apps, it's a device to get to know. And like, yeah, do you see that ghosting vanish there? I'll try and recreate that. Get rid of that. And you just see the thing, you know, a few refreshes later, and it's back to that. And actually, you're hard pressed to tell the difference when you're in ultra fast or fast. It used to be the case in those X modes that you were like, oh, it's just, all the contrast is gone, and you can still see everything that was on the screen 2 minutes ago. And, you know, and then this, whatever they're doing with the book Super Refresh, it still needs to get there, still needs to improve. But that coupled with this Kaleido free screen, coupled with the screen input, you know, I haven't picked the Pro because it wasn't such a shift. But as an e-ink moment, you know, I got really excited, and it just changed what I did on e-ink. and I'm still actually using this device quite a lot at the minute, simply because it's still got a lot of my things logged in, and simply it's not necessary that I have to go up to the Pro all the time. As a change to the way e-ink works and the way what we can do with e-ink, I went from my e-ink thing just being a notes device, a device to be my planner, to be what am I doing this week, what lessons am I teaching, to being my sort of full writing things. Whenever I'm trying to write something, there's only two places I'm going to write at the minute, which is either sort of editing on this screen here with the mechanical keyboard and the RLCD screen that I'm still borrowing, or I'm going to be on here, really, or I'm capturing notes, I suppose, on my big screen. And yeah, I think Voja's making a point in the corner, which is a point that I like to. And at the minute, I'm revisiting this device, the Note F3C, and I'm going back and sort of. I concede. I lost on the last one. I'm a gracious loser. The odds were stacked against me. You two just wait for the next. In fact, Brandon, you just wait for the next debate we have, because I will be as fair as and impartial as you were during the debate that I referee.
Oh, hold on. Is the next one supposed to be Remarkable versus Supernote?
I think that's on the cards. Yeah.
Oh man.
With me in the black and white. You guys.
All right, should we get to my highs?
Yes, Brendan.
All right, mine are going to be more general. I don't know that I'm going to crown a device, but I'd say the high of the year is that we got a lot of really exciting new devices. We got the first truly compelling e-ink tablet, or color e-ink tablet, in the Tab Ultra C. We also got the surprise that was the Books Palma, which I had no idea was coming, and is really, really entertaining and interesting. I think it's 2 components away from a pseudo-minimalist e-ink smartphone, and I really hope they go back to the well and actually add a GPS and a SIM card, because I could totally see using that. I mean, the obvious one is definitely the Supernote A6X2 with a fully user-serviceable design and actually having 300 pixels per inch monochrome that isn't a device called the Kindle Scribe. It's just awesome. But I think it would be unfair of me not to call out the fact that Amazon has actually supported the Kindle Scribe much, much more than I thought they were going to with new software. I don't know that it's a compelling productivity tablet, but they started out so far behind, and then they've made up a ton of ground. So as much as I don't want to use it, I think you have to commend the fact that they've actually supported that device instead of doing a ship it and forget type scenario. But if you pinned me into one device that actually released in 2023, it's probably this one.
Wow.
Woohoo! But apparently I'm supposed to argue against it in the next roundtable.
Yeah, whether we, gosh, yeah.
Maybe I should argue for Remarkable then.
Maybe Remarkable should release a 300 pixel per inch tablet, and then we actually have a fair
Remarkable should discussion. Do some better stuff. Whoops.
But I guess that's an interesting point. I mean, Books has the 300 pixel per inch color tablets, but I love that Supernote doubled down and they said, "Hey, we're going to do 300 pixel per inch monochrome because we know what our users want."
It's not the all the old Books Novas. They're 300 pixels per inch.
And the A6X is also 300 pixels, 300 ppi. So that's something to yeah. So pretty much all of the 7.8 inches are 300 ppi. But one thing that
I only had the A5X before. This is my first A6.
Okay. Yeah. So that is a thing, but there is something to what you're saying, because when I was writing next to A6X and A6X2, this one looks sharper. Again,
it will be a newer generation, won't it? It will be.
I don't know. It's too fresh. Still, we're right.
I can't comment on A6 to A6, but it's night and day difference. A5 versus A6. Yeah, so much better. So much better.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think, I don't think we're going to have any trouble agreeing on that. Is a great thing. And I was going to ask actually. Well, I've got two questions for you actually. Or one thing to say about the Kindle Scribe. Really, the Kindle Scribe is really doing what I hoped it would do for the market. It's coming in and it's really bringing the price down, certainly of itself. And that's going to mean that other companies need to bring the price down as well. And I know overall, I hope that means that e-ink produce larger volumes and therefore have to sell them at lower price as well, because it is the screen that's really doing it for these in terms of the price. Certainly that's my belief on why they're not cheap. But that is, when it first was announced, I was like, wow, this is great. This is finally the moment where we roll over into actually an affordable kind of e-ink sort of tablets for everybody. And the high end ones are still going to be high end, and it's just going to slip in there. The screens aren't going to be the thing that makes it too expensive, really. But then my other thing was for both of you actually, who've really chosen the Supernote as your standout moment. Really, what is is waiting for the A5X? Is that an important thing for you at this point? Is it the A4X that's really gonna A4X2 rather?
Ooh, can I go first on this one? Yeah, so I get asked by people all the time, like, what do you think about the A6X? And I think the A6X is amazing. I think the fact that they chose to have first class support for landscape mode is a brilliant decision. Because if you asked me, do I want an A6 size device? I would tell you no. I don't want an A6 size device. I want an A5 size device. But the fact that I can turn this into landscape, it instantly adjusts and it scales up, means that I can actually. It's great for lefty. Oh, it's excellent.
It's perfectly
but the fact that I can use this and it not feel like a hindrance is a real testament to the design thinking behind this. Because I've tried other A6 size devices and I don't want to, I don't choose to use them. And I've chosen to use this. I've chosen to daily drive this for the next 2 weeks at least to do a proper review. And thus far, it hasn't been an issue. Now, you give me an A5X that can also do that, then I'll probably still take that. But this is really interesting. If I'm going on site somewhere, I'm actually going to be nomadic, as the name insinuates. This is really nice. One piece, I don't have to worry about it. The folio has nice padding. I can toss it around and not fear that it's going to get broken or anything like that, which, I think they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I totally agree as well with the point about the landscape thing on this one. And same as you. Now I'm in the review phase, and this is my daily driver for pretty much everything that it can do. So I'm, driving it. And it really is continuing to surprise me. My initial gut reaction was because I had and used A5X and the A6X. First, I had A6X, then I got A5X, and since I got A5X, I honestly very rarely went back to A6X, other than checking the updates and all that kind of stuff. This one, with the efficiency of the landscape, and I don't want people to misunderstand. Oh, big deal! It has a G-Sync. No, not just that. The whole thing works. Tab Mini C it's a 7.8-inch device. It has a G-Sync. You turn it around and it screws up your notes.
Yep.
And it screws up the canvas, and it just doesn't work. This is what Remarkable says, distraction-free. I don't have to think about it. I don't care. I really don't want to care what the device is doing, how is it doing. I don't care. It's its job to do it, and it's doing it really well. My job is, hey, right now, it suits me to write in the landscape format. And this piece of technology does that for me and offers me the canvas to work on. And it's doing that brilliantly. So, but as far as A5X goes, well, there's a somewhat almost confirmation from Rata that A5X2 should have a 300 ppi. It's not 100%, but it's high likelihood. And if that happens, and if they deliver on an A5X, the perfectly symmetrical design, and honestly, the awesomeness of engineering that they've actually delivered here, I don't know. If anything, A6X2 kind of showed me that I don't know what I'm supposed to expect next from Rata. And that makes me very excited about the A5X2 and especially about the A4X, for which I still don't know. Is it A4X? Is it A4X Slim? Or is it A4X2? What's it going to be? So, yeah.
All I can say if the A5X2 is 227 pixels per inch, it would be a shame.
Yeah.
It'd be really sad.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're waiting for. Honestly, I think that's what they're waiting for.
Do you think they'll have different backs available? Do you think they'll?
Depends on how they sell.
Was I
don't know about the holes.
They did two things, and they're so different. But you could just, this whole plastic piece.
Mm-hmm.
You got a white one?
I have a white one, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because so I thought the white one was just going to be literally the choice of which back.
Yeah.
So you could literally buy the crystal back in the future, but it's obviously not the same.
No, the sides are different too. Yeah.
Yeah, the sides are different, and there's all the screws and everything. So I'm not really sure how that.
And what do you think the pogo pins might be for? And are they on the white one as well?
So I noticed those in the unboxing. I don't know. Voja, you have any theories?
Theories, knowing Supernote. First, my first gut reaction was, hey, probably maybe the keyboard thing, but I don't know if they're gonna go with the keyboard thing. It certainly is a possibility. It would be way too small, so I'm not really sure about that. If I know Supernote, I think that we can't guess what's it gonna be, but it's gonna be something nerdy. Something that we probably haven't seen. I don't think that it's going to be something lame as a flipbook cover with page turning buttons. If that's the thing, that would be very disappointing because what the hell is the point? You have the other slider which is doing that. So
yeah,
the extra slider is so nice.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, is it going to be like, I don't know, 2 years later, like Remarkable, where they brought out something for those pogo pins like way down the line?
I don't know, but with this modular design,
yeah, could it clip into something next to my screen? Maybe something that just sits on something vertical that clips and charges it, maybe, or like connects it to the computer in some way and makes it.
Like a hub station of some sort.
Yeah. How much?
Yeah.
Do you know, Voja, how much, or Brandon, how much data? What data rate can you get for a pogo pin like that? It's not going to be high, is it?
No, it's not going to be enough for anything like that. But you can get power through that. So, and pogo pins, USB.
Yeah.
USB has a data rate, so I don't know. We shall see. In any case, it seems like it's something that would slot like this, and it has a power slot here, has a pogo pin over there, and
it feels like it would go in like that and maybe lock in.
Yep, lock in, and you just go like this, and it locks. Is it going to be a docking station? Is it going to be something else? I don't know. I really don't know. We'll see. Or maybe they don't even, maybe they just have like a bunch of ideas and they just said like, okay, let's just throw in a pogo pin in there.
Yeah.
Just in case.
So do you guys want to spend a few minutes with a few questions before we call it today? What time? Yeah. If you go into the start as well, then you'll see some there. Any that take your eyes, I've had a little look through. Some people wondering if what am I serious? At the start, like talking about that.
What did I buy recently?
Absolutely, but other people saying, I just still can't stop.
I don't buy stationery. I was talking about the stationery store the other day, and there was once upon a time I'd be really excited about notebooks, and I went in there and I was just kind of like, this stuff's cool, but it doesn't have any appeal for me anymore, unfortunately.
But then I've gone the whole hog, and we're talking about cameras, and I've got a film camera here that one person in my family doesn't like me constantly shooting on this, but it takes nice photos. It's a Canon A1. It's a great camera, and it's just it's
Is
not
that a
about
nifty
nostalgia.
50 on the front? What do you have on the front?
Yeah, that's the 50 1.8. Yeah.
Is that a FD lens?
Yeah, this is a FD camera. Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's not nostalgia for me because I didn't really shoot film much, you know, apart from like, so. But it's a nice thing. And what it did for me was it slowed me down. Whereas the way I was taking photos was like bursts of 10 random shots and sifting through hundreds of photos. And this is like, no, actually, before you press the shutter, just think. And I was this is a good one. Random question: how do you not keep chasing new technologies and better performance?
That's the one.
You do something like that, and you think to yourself, well, what's the experience of using this? And the same with the stationery thing. What's the experience of going back? Oh, valuing the page is the way I put it, isn't it? Like valuing, you're taking the time to make a stroke on a page. You know, just because you can delete that and press undo straight away and it's gone, doesn't mean that stroke can be any less powerful or any less important, any less memorable to somebody. So I think that's it. And you know, making the point about the first tab up to Ultra C and thinking it's good enough. And I made the point in my content quite a lot, and I think you guys did as well, but you don't have to upgrade to the latest thing all of the time. It isn't obligatory. You know, it isn't obsolete. It's still doing what it was doing for you the first time. So difficult one.
So like I went on a podcast recently and they were asking me about gear, and my perspective here is buy gear until your quality is not a distraction, at which point solve workflow headaches. So you don't need the latest and greatest. You just need to solve actual problems that you're experiencing, like overheating. So like this is something worth upgrading or swapping out. But aside from that, get to some minimum level where you can focus on your craft and then do that.
Yeah, and also there's because that's the one that actually I would pick as well. There's a bit of a practical advice because yes, there are these definitely the things that you're talking about, absolutely. However, I do know for a fact that some people it's not so easy for some people to resist the marketing strategies that are uber aggressive. And they are getting more and more aggressive with TikTok and with everything else. It's just getting to be much more difficult to actually resist the active brainwashing marketing strategy that's designed to kind of tell you you need this. Your sense of self-worth is less unless you actually own the latest and greatest. And the really bad thing about it is that it's actually targeting people with lower self-esteem, some insecurities or anything like that. So if, for example, you find yourself in that kind of situation, I made a video a long time ago. It's needs versus wants. Just my number one advice would be, if you find yourself gassing, right? And all of us will kind of remember that you speed up eventually. It's not an on-off. There's a new bit of technology that happens. And it's not an instant on. There's a little bit of a thing, and then you build up an inertia. Once you have enough inertia, you don't stop. And then, unless you have that thing, you're unhappy. Where you're not, you've done that to yourself with that building up of inertia. So at that moment, if you find yourself there, just try and stop for a second and build a physical list. My needs and my wants, and then put the technology, exactly what Brandon said, exactly what Kit said. So a merger between those two. What do I already have that fulfills my needs and my objective wants? And what does the new piece of technology actually quantifiably bring to the table? And just the act of stopping that inertia thing and just rewinding a little bit to see what you actually have around you may be enough to help you get away from at least that instant kind of, brainwash wave that you encountered. But there's going to be another one, of course, because that's where we are, unfortunately. But yeah, that's what I would actually say, because this is a very important question. At least I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also don't buy things late at night. You'll regret them. Like to defer. Don't buy anything after 2 p.m.
I bought the Remarkable one on a feeling just like that, and I brought it at literally it must have been 1 a.m, and I was like, I'm not going to go to sleep unless I just press buy now. And it's taken
tough.
me on a bit of a journey, and I haven't regretted that. But there's probably more examples of purchases of that type that haven't led that way. Any other good questions taking you away? No, it doesn't. It has clip-on things, the white one rather than screws, which is we've been surprised by.
I was gonna answer that. Yeah, the screws are underneath.
Oh, they are there.
So, well, I think on y'all's they are too, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't see the screws on mine, so I assume yours are under the plastic.
No,
they're exposed. You can feel them.
Yeah. Well, there's you have to unscrew them to actually get the back off.
Different on mine.
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it?
Mine, you can use your. I mean, I haven't done this yet, but yeah, I can peel this off. Watch me break it. Must see content. Brandon breaks Supernote X2. Yeah, you can take it off without screw. Now, there are going to be screws underneath here for the batteries and all. Yeah, see, my screws are underneath. I don't think you're going to be able to see it on the camera.
No, so there's no way you could put the one back onto that. It's totally separate.
Just a quick one here. Do the books tablets receive Android OS updates? No. And why not? It's my understanding that they don't get it because of the licensing deals they strike with companies that give them bulk chips, SoCs. So basically, the licensing deal is this SoC can be upgraded to this Android version, the latest one. And that's why, you won't see books devices ever getting actually upgraded to a new Android version.
Good stuff. Brilliant. Yeah. This discipline towards e-shopping sprees. And Sheila says, yeah, it's the fear of missing out. And this individual has received you can run for.
It's one solution.
Absolutely, yeah. Any others from the starred list, you guys? This one, think there might be a Supernote with a Kaleido screen in the future?
Not anytime soon.
Don't think so. No, I really don't think so. And
I don't expect to see a Remarkable with color either anytime soon.
Me neither. And I think that's
I'm perfectly fine with that.
So do you think that's about they want their devices to stay in a lane, or do you think that's because of a battery thing?
No. It's about a use case. It's a fixation on writing and creating. And if you're creating, you don't likely need that color. Again, they're not trying to be an Android tablet. They're trying to be an alternative to a writing tablet.
But this thing with going towards drawing, it's on the going towards the Atelier app, for instance, for an artist, it was my first thing with Remarkable was like, right, I'm interested in having the color to do that.
Yeah, but for me, I think the argument is it's not good enough. Kaleido technology is not good enough for what they want to deliver, and they do care about that. So that's what
I definitely agree. I mean, that's why I was so excited when I heard that Books was going to still have a mono Note Air 3. I was like, brilliant! They're going to do a 300 pixel per inch black and white mono. Like they understand the use case. And then we got 227, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Because I'm a user who would prefer a mono device in some cases. Like, I think the Note Air 3C is great. I think there's a huge use case for that. But I don't think they should stop making black and white devices. I think there's still a user for that.
Absolutely. As for sheet stuff, there's that's a huge discussion. But reading sheet music, I use the Note Air 3C. I use that without any problems in landscape format, and that's okay. But I use sheet music only when I'm learning a new particular song or something like that, and then I just commit it to memory, and that's it. If you're reading sheet music on the fly, then you are going to need a Bluetooth remote page flipper, or you might want to consider an A4. But I think an A4 device is generally something that majority of people are going to prefer, because this in landscape works, but it's still a compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Just a couple more. I think, is the lack of light frustrating on Supernote? I don't think so. I think find windows to sit by. Go outside. Enjoy ink for what it is. Yeah.
So I'm going to push back a little bit, which is, yes, you can totally use it. It's no problem. But you do notice it. Like I was sitting on my couch and I was writing, and where my hand shades the screen, again, the Supernote screen is darker contrast-wise than the other two. And I don't think it's a deal breaker, but I notice it more on that device than the other two.
The other two meaning?
The Books devices and the Remarkable device.
Yeah.
Like, again, you're going to turn the backlight on or the front light on the Books, and so it's probably a non-issue, but on the Remarkable, you don't, and on the Supernote, you don't.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking also. Pogo on the back. Maybe a light edition?
A light? That's the most compelling theory I've heard thus far.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah, with the Books tab, you can sign into your workplaces. They allow the same thing Android has with a whole work what do they call it, work mode or work profile set of apps, and you can even turn them off when you're finished with work for the day, and so you don't get your work emails until you turn it back on in the morning, which is quite nice. Just one switch in the drop down. Yeah, lots of things to like about that. I was talking about the Tab Ultra C, and that was the first device that I enabled that and had my entirely separate, my badged copy of my work apps, and that's just a very nice thing to have my own personal Microsoft account and the work Microsoft account, and therefore I was able to keep those things totally separate on the device. And it's a great thing to have. Cool. The Linux thing, any thoughts about the Linux operating system? That was going to be one of the flagship things of X2. It's partly where the 2 comes from, is the 2 operating systems. It's not necessarily just the second gen. I think they didn't finish in time really with the Linux operating system, because they had planned on making those updates for the original A6 and A5s as well in parallel with the A6X, and I think they just ended up feeling like they've bit off more than they can chew, and that's why they've offered such a discount for A6 users, because they didn't get what they promised them. And they didn't promise, they set out a roadmap and they aimed to achieve all the same features coming to the older devices, and they didn't. And that's, I think, a software development time frame thing. Would I be right in saying that, gents?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious the compatibility layer that they're doing here, Voja. Do you have any feel for how they're maintaining their writing app across both, or how they intend to do that?
Well, it's not a problem actually, because they have their .mark file as simple vector data. So when you have your
I didn't mean so much from a storage, but like maintaining app updates across the 2 different OSs. I just don't know the technical underpinning for how they're doing it.
I really don't know. That I don't know how they're actually going to do it, and I think that's going to be the main thing that they're trying to kind of resolve. But I wouldn't be surprised if the dual boot, when it actually comes out, that what Linux, because they're doing dual boot, that Android version, what we have here with the apps and everything, that's going to be for regular users, right, quote unquote, and the dual boot Linux is going to be there for the open source development community, for people to actually start doing their own thing there.
I think that's really exciting. I mean, I didn't get into that in the lows, but I probably could have, which is, I think, something I had hoped to see in 2023 was inviting app developers to first-class e-ink experiences. I think Books got the closest to it, but they still haven't updated the writing SDK for the Android 12 devices. So I have a hard time even giving them credit for it when, like, for instance, Notable has this, and there were users using Notable, and then people move to the new device and just doesn't work. Not because the Notable developers don't want it to work, but just they haven't fully committed to maintaining the SDK.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking into the SDK because it was interesting. Hey, cool, I got my Android 12, and I can now actually play around and test stuff on the Note Air 3C. Check out the SDK, and not really that.
Yeah.
So that was quite disappointing, actually.
Cool. I think I'm just going to say thank you, and I think we'll probably wrap it up now, gents. Unless there's any other questions that are just jumping out at you that you desperately want to. They're great questions, and thank you so much. And just keep putting them in the comments, the main comments parts underneath the videos, because they I certainly might not always respond to every single comment, but read every single one, and they always influence the content really, really well on my channel. And thank you so much to
actually I have a comment on that, Kit.
Yeah.
If I don't answer your comment, it's not because it's not a good question. It's a really great question, and I have a really hard time answering it in 30 words. So I do intend to do some more Q&A videos where I can go in depth on a lot of these things, because a lot of the answers are really nuanced, and I don't feel like I can do them justice with just comments.
Yep, similar like that. And also sometimes people, for me as well, sometimes people forget that I'm not in the US, and maybe I'm sleeping when you post a comment. It does happen. It is rare, but it has been known to happen that I go to sleep sometimes. But yeah, joking aside, yeah, we do try. I think all three of us, we pretty much do the same thing, which is you try to answer as many comments as you can. But as Brendan said, once in a while you do run into a really substantial one, and you either set that one aside for Q&A or for something else, because comments are not really that good of a place to tackle complex subjects. So yeah. But all of them are read.
It gets you thinking, doesn't it? These things, you think about that question and you think about it when you're writing your next piece of content. And thank you all in the audience, everyone watching. Thank you so much. Thank you two gentlemen.
Thank you.
Have a great
thank you too,
Christmas
guys.
and New Year, and we will see you after.
Thank you so much.
Happy holidays. Have a great time. Bye.